Hey guys, what's up? Tax here. We are back for more of the Go-Karting Championship. Got 4 people here today, and on the left hand side of your screen you've got Tom, on the right hand side of your screen you've got me. Obviously, you know, I'm in the blue overalls, Tom's in the green overalls, then you've got James in the dark blue overalls, and my dad in the blue overalls as well with the white helmet. So I'll point out everyone as you see them on the track, but 4 people here today, and obviously the championship's already wrapped up, so not too much happening with that, but there is stuff happening for 2nd place in the championship all the way down to about 5th in the championship. It's very close. So this is qualifying, and you can see that's James in front of us now. He's sort of got the dark blue overalls and sort of the silver helmet, silver and black helmet, so that's him. So yeah, James is coming, I think, for the 4th time this year, so he's been having a pretty good season actually, and he's actually been very fast, and that water there on the middle of the track really didn't help out on the first lap, and actually my dad ended up spinning over into the grass. I'm not too sure whether we're going to see that on any of the screens here. Yeah, I think you could just maybe just see it if you paused it on my side of the screen there, on the right hand side of the screen you might have been able to see him. So yeah, that's unfortunate for him. He spun off into the grass on the first lap of qualifying, but it does give him a space now to go and, you know, get some decent lap times in. So next up we got in front of us, we got Tom, and I think the cameras have been sorted out finally. I sort of worked out what the camera angle on Tom's helmet should be, because he's got the sort of GoPro mount on a different part of his helmet, so it's a bit more confusing to get it set up perfectly, but I think it's all right now, so that's good. And yeah, hope for the quality and everything's right. Obviously there's a little bit of water. Oh, that's where my dad seemed to spin off by the looks of it. He seemed to have spun off on lap 2. Sorry, I thought it was lap 1, but it's actually lap 2 that by the looks of it he span off. So luckily for him, he's going to get going again and everything should be alright. But you can see here we're sort of in a 3-way queue here, and we're all sort of lined up behind James here, who's sort of going quite slow in qualifying here, and I think Tom definitely faster here, so he's going to be looking for the move. But we managed to get down the inside of Tom here. Tom sort of slid out a bit wide, so we managed to get up the position, so that is good. And now we've got to try and get past James. Now the weird thing is here, we either try and get past James and go for good laps, or we've got to wait back and do some decent laps. You can see my dad there, he's only just in front of us. Try and get down the inside of James here, but he doesn't really leave that much space, so I couldn't get that overtake done. So it's really confusing qualifying, because you want to obviously get, you know, good racing experience in qualifying, but you want to be making sure that you can get those good lap times in to make sure you start near the front of the pack. And now running a little bit wide at this bottom corner, but obviously it's only qualifying, so it doesn't really matter too much. Tom was looking for a move, but there wasn't really space. But there's some interesting stuff going on in the championship. I've got the standings here, so I'm going to be running through everything and sort of telling you what sort of things that might happen in the championship are. So basically, I'm already the champion. You guys already know that from the last round. I was already crowned champion, and I will be getting the 1st place trophy at the end of the year. Well, not end of year awards, not, well, we're just given a trophy at the end of the next race. And oh, side by side with James there, he gets run out wide, so I decided to let him through and try and get out of the way of Tom here. So yeah, I've won the championship, so that's good. Can't be beaten now, mathematically impossible, so that's good for me. Then going into this round, you've got Ben in 2nd on 139 points. Will in Ben in 2nd on 139. Will on 3rd place on 138 points, but Will won't be taking part in any more rounds, so Will's final points of the season will be 138 points. And my dad's on 133 points, Tom's on 110 points, and Job's on 123 points. And Job has not really been coming the last couple of rounds, which is a bit unfortunate. The last time Job was in a round was round 8, where he picked up 20 points and put him on to 123 points. So unfortunately for him, he won't be able to do any more rounds, I don't think, after this one. So his final will be 123. But there is a battle for 2nd place in the championship. Going into the final couple of rounds, it's going to be very close between Ben, Tom and my dad for that 2nd place in the championship, and it's really going to be down to who performs well in these last 2 rounds here. Obviously Ben is not taking part in this round, but he will be taking part in round 12, the final round of the season in November. So there is interesting stuff happening there, and it will be a very close championship, believe me. When we look at the points after this race, we'll see how close it is going to be between Tom, Ben and my dad. So, you know, if we look at form and look how quick people have been going, generally Ben has been the fastest out of the 3, but my dad also has been picking up some good results. My dad has 2 pole positions, Ben only has 1. Ben has 2 wins, my dad only has 1. So there's a bit of, you know, interesting stuff happening between them. And also Tom, who's really been picking up form recently. He obviously got 2nd place in the last round, which bagged him 24 points. Yeah, so he picked up 24 points in the last round, which was his most out of the season so far. And he's really put himself into the championship chase, which is good for him. It's going to be hard because obviously he had a pretty rough start to the season, not that consistent. Well, he was consistent with his points, but it wasn't that, you know, the many really outstanding performances from Tom at the start of the season. But really, since the sort of midway point of the season onwards, he's really been doing some really good results, and he's been doing good results here today as well. So that's good for him. And you can say, well, yeah, there's only 3 people in the last round, there's only 4 people in this round, but still, Tom had to finish the race. He had to do good performances, because obviously if you don't do any laps in the races, you will not be scored as points. You won't get any points for the round, so you have to at least complete a couple of laps to make sure you score points. As Callum found out in that last round, he did score the points because he did complete a couple of laps. I think he completed 5-6 laps, so we thought, you know, that's fair, that's understandable. He completed 5-6 laps. I mean, obviously, yeah, that's not great, but still, he completed some laps. It's not like he completed 1 lap. So I think we'll pretty much just say that 5 laps or so is the minimum you have to complete in a race to score points. Understandable, and he still completed about you know, 1/5 of the race or so. So he still did a decent, you know, still did a proportion of the race. So yeah, and so interesting stuff, as I said, going to this final couple of rounds of the season. Obviously, Ben not doing this round, but he has confirmed to me that he will be going to this final round, round 12 in November, and he will be doing that, so that's good. And the championship is going to be very, very close. I'm really actually looking forward to it. I'm not going to be, you know, obviously I can play a part in who wins the 2nd place and 3rd place and 4th place in the championship. I can obviously play a part in that. That's most likely, unless I have a terrible weekend, I'll be fighting with these guys at the front of the field, which hopefully it won't be, you know, hopefully I won't be crashing into or anything. I mean, obviously accidents do happen, but I'm hoping to just keep the racing clean, as it has been throughout the whole season. There hasn't been any silly crashes or anything. You know, a couple of little accidents, but you know, that's racing. Accidents do happen sometimes, but no people crashing on purpose, which, you know, you would expect sometimes, because obviously we're all friends and everything, so, you know, a little bit of fun sometimes, but obviously we realise that it's dangerous motorsport, and, you know, you don't want to be doing things silly like that. You know, we've watched people go around and crash into each other, which, you know, it's sort of like, okay, it might be fun at the time, but it's quite dangerous if someone goes and hits you, and these karts can go 40 miles an hour around this track. I mean, it's a very small track with not that really long straight, so 40 miles an hour is still a hell of a lot of speed around this track, and yeah, that's dangerous. So that's why you know, that's why we don't ever crash into each other and stuff. I mean, obviously some people surely do, but we don't, because we know how sort of dangerous motorsport can be. So yeah, so I managed to get in front of both James and Tom now, and I'm pretty much just pulling off an advantage. James was putting in his really good lap times whilst he was following me, and not gonna lie, and Tom was a little bit unsure about what he's doing here, because he didn't want to do anything silly. I think he backs off a little bit here to try and get a gap. My dad, I think, was going around slowly to try and let Tom through, because obviously my dad has been not coming to the last 2 rounds, and the round before that he only scored 13 points, which I think is one of the lowest scores of the whole season. Him and James both scored 13 points. Oh, James scored 12 points once, sorry, and Ryan scored 10. So a couple of people have scored less in a round, but my dad not really had the best form of recent, and obviously the last 2 rounds he missed, so he wanted to just pick up some points here today and make sure that he could, you know, go into this final round, or go into the final round with a good chance of getting 2nd place in the championship. And rules for next year, I might as well get onto this, because basically there's not much going on in qualifying to really talk about, so I thought I'd update you guys on it. And if you're watching to the point, actually before I get into the rules, if you can thumbs up the video, I really would appreciate it, just because these videos do get great reception, and I'm trying to make this sort of the main series on this channel now. It's going to be the series that is sort of highlighted on my sort of channel page over the month, so hopefully you guys can support the series. I really would appreciate it, as I do put a huge amount of effort into these videos. They take so long to record, render, upload, all that sort of stuff, so if you can just sort of drop a like on the video and share it with your friends, that is really, really appreciated. So Anyway, rules for next season. I've been working out a couple of sort of statistics and stuff about what, you know, the points can be and everything for next season, because we are not going to be doing 12 rounds next year. I've pretty much decided that, as at the end of the day, I'm the person that decides everything for this championship. I'm the person that organises every event and gets everyone to make sure they're all the right time and everything. So it's quite a lot of effort to make sure these races actually get happening and all that sort of stuff, but I'm happy because it's a lot of fun for everyone. But a couple of changes for next year is we're thinking about doing 10 races for the season, so that would definitely cut the costs down as well, and also changing it up so we'd have a 5-minute qualifying session and 2 20-minute races instead of a 10-minute qualifying session and 2 10-minute races. It would cut the cost, and also doing less races throughout the season would cut the cost as well. And I'm not sure, maybe we might do less. Maybe it might be like a 6-race championship, and maybe we'll do like a winter championship as well. I'm not too sure, but we also want to do an endurance championship or an endurance race later on in the season, which should be really interesting. So we'll see what happens with that. But yeah, some rule changes, well, not really a rule change for next year, but just an idea for next year is doing less races and doing less time in qualifying. And yeah, hopefully it should be a lot of fun. But anyway, let's have a quick look at these qualifying standings or results. I qualified on pole. James was very close behind me, actually. I think a couple of tenths behind me. Then Tom and then my dad ended up in 4th place there. So really close stuff though. The whole field, all 4 of us were separated by less than a second. And I think it should be a lot of fun here today, because my dad coming back obviously after a couple of rounds not racing, he's obviously had a lot of pace in some of the races this year, so he's looking for some good results. But anyway, lights are out and away we go here for round 11 of this Go-Kart Championship, race number 1. James, as always, gets his amazing start, so he's up into the lead already, down into turn 1. Tom trying to go side by side. He got a pretty decent start, so he tries to look round the outside but doesn't manage to get that done. I nearly hit the tyre wall on the inside there, but managed to get around it without any contact. And James has already built up about a second lead, and we're only a couple of corners into this race. He obviously gets all the great starts because he's a lot lighter than all the rest of us, so he manages to get such good starts. So James already up into the lead, and Tom being challenged by my dad. They're trying to, I think, running side by side currently, but Tom currently keeping 3rd position here, and I'm getting onto the back of James to make sure I can challenge him for the lead of this race. So far this season, nobody has won all of the races and qualified on pole, and that's something I've been challenging for all year, but it's just not happened for some reason or another. Will managed to get both race wins, but on that day I had a terrible weekend. My wheel fell off one of my karts and I just couldn't challenge for the win in any of those races, and also, but I did qualify on pole, so I had the speed, but I just my wheel fell off, so in that race weekend unfortunately just couldn't happen there. And so here we are, Tom being overtaken by my dad. So he's unfortunately dropped down to last place here, and it's going to be very important because my dad and Tom are both very close in the championship as well. They're going into this round only separated, I think, by 20 odd points, so this is going to be very important for both of them here. Both of them can win, or can take, I should say, 2nd place in the championship here, and I'll probably do a video. I don't know whether you guys want it, to show you the trophies and everything. I mean, I went out and spent my own money on getting the trophies for everyone for this season, as I felt it would be a nice gesture for everyone that, you know, spent their money and took part in this season. And so yeah, I don't know, just let me know whether you'd like to see that sort of video on my channel at some point. It wouldn't be that long, just showing you all the trophies and everything, and I'll get some more obviously for next year as well, because obviously next season we'll have more racing and more trophies to give out at the end of the year. The go-kart place we go to, Filching Manor, do supply medals for each round, so that's really nice. But they don't supply trophies or anything, because obviously I don't even know whether they know we're doing a championship. But yeah, it's been a lot of fun. But they do supply medals, which is nice, and I supplied the trophies for us. So yeah, should be cool to see how everyone finishes out at the end of the season. But pretty much 2 separate races going on here at the moment. Me versus James, and my dad versus Tom. And I was talking to my dad after the race on the way home, and he was saying he didn't know where Tom had went, because he got past Tom and he wasn't sure where Tom was, because my dad was saying that he left quite a lot of spaces and made a couple of mistakes, like, not on purpose making mistakes and leaving spaces, but he had made mistakes, and Tom just wasn't there to overtake. And I think, I'm not too sure, but Tom is sometimes a little bit sort of caution, you know, takes a bit of caution when trying to overtake people, doesn't want to be involved in any sort of accidents or anything, because in the past, I think earlier on this season, reason, Ben sort of cut across Tom on one of the races and cut across him, and Ben spun out. So yeah, I think Tom's a little bit cautious about you know, overtaking that sort of stuff, which is understandable. But when when the championship's on, he needs to be making maybe a bit more decisive overtakes here. But as I said, 2 battles here, 2 different races going on, and it's very close. I'll get very close to the back of James here. We're looking down the inside. We're going to make a move. Yes, we are. James has to turn out of the corner. But the problem is, I had such a tight entrance to the corner. I got such a bad run through it. So James gets a very good run round the outside and managed to get back into the lead of the race here. And I've got to say, guys, the last sort of, I don't know, 3 minutes of this race get pretty intense, so definitely keep tuning around for the rest of these races, because they do get really, really exciting. You may think, oh, there's only 2 people battling each other on both sides of the screen, but it is really, really exciting. I think actually some of the best racing I've had all year came in this race and the next race, so definitely keep an eye out and definitely keep tuning on for the rest of this video. So I've lost a bit of time to James here, but Tom is right onto the back of my dad here. He's going to be looking for an overtake because he's going to be getting into the slipstream, and Tom had an alright kart today, and so did my dad, but neither of them really seemed to have a kart that could, you know, turn through the corners very well. They needed to put quite a lot of lock on the steering wheel to get them around the corner, but both me and James had pretty decent karts, and actually mine was very good around the corners, and James saying very similar things as well. But right behind James now, looking for this position wherever we can, because we sort of know we're faster, but we've just got to get the overtake done, and we haven't so far, because we haven't been we haven't been decisive with the overtakes. We had a couple of moves, but neither of them really paid off. One we did get ahead, but we just had such a bad run through the corner, didn't really work out for us. But definitely me and James putting in more faster lap times here, and we are, I think, going to be ending up getting right up behind Tom and my dad, because they sort of, by battling each other, Tom and my dad, they were sort of really slowing up quite a bit. And I think my dad's wondering where everyone is. You can see he's sort of looking around, but we try and make a move around the outside of James. That was sort of the first sort of time I'd really looked around the outside, because I've been racing James obviously in, not the last round, but round number 9. I was racing James quite a bit, and there was a couple of times where we did make, we crashed into each other, which is a bit unfortunate, but we make the move down the inside. Finally, sorry, I'm sort of cut myself in the middle of the sentence there, but we do get down the inside of James there and managed to keep the position, and we're going to go defensive for this next turn here. So it looks like we've got the position done, and Tom seems to have lost a bit of time on the left hand side of the screen as well. Not too sure what happened with him there, because I was focusing on the right hand side of the screen there. So interesting stuff going on all in the same lap there, but we managed to get the lead. Tom, sadly for him, slips back a little bit. But what I was talking about, I was battling James in the last couple of race what am I saying? Round number 9, not the last weekend. Round number 9, I was battling James for position, and a couple of races we did sort of crash into each other. So I think we learnt from that, and the racing really was a lot better in this one. Obviously, still a couple of times, because James hasn't really been coming go-karting. I think this is only like his 5th time ever, and 4th time in the championship ever coming go-karting. So I think once he comes karting a little bit more, he'll realise a lot more about the track, and he's already fast, so once he learns the track a lot more, I think he'll be very, very good, challenging for wins, race in, week out, which should be a lot of fun. It should be good for the championship as well. And yeah, so Tom's caught up to the back of my dad here, so there should be a little bit of battling going on here once again. I'm not too sure. Tom hasn't really been good looking for the moves, but James dives back down the inside on the right hand side of the screen, and he's got back the lead with a very good move down the inside there, which has put him back up into the lead of the race. A very clean and good move down the inside there, and there was probably a tiny bit of contact, as I didn't really realise he was going to be diving it down the inside so late, but I made the mistake of not defending, and well, that's unfortunate there. So now we're looking into the slipstream of James. Where are we going to go? Down the inside? No, there's not really a gap, so we're going to look around the outside. We're not going to look down the inside. Yes, we are. There's a little bit of contact there as James gets very sideways. I tried to avoid it, but contact was pretty much unavoidable there, as we were just a little bit all over the place. Karts going inside us and everything. We're looking back down the inside. We're going to be a bit decisive down the inside. There's a bit of contact there. James sort of turned into the corner whilst I'd already committed to the inside, so I do decide to let James back through here, as I feel that was a bit of a stupid overtake on my part. I mean, it wasn't terrible. I would have normally just raced away with it, but at the end of the day, it was a little bit harsh on James because he's obviously only been karting a couple of times. So we go try and go side by side once more, but there's contact. And James, I don't know whether he realised I was there or not, but he didn't leave any space. I was round the outside. I had the overlap on the kart, and unfortunately, I go into the tyre wall and got water all over my camera and all over my tyres. So now there'll be yellow flags out. Probably not this lap. Is there going to be yellow flags this lap? I can't remember now. No, not yet. He's just getting the yellow flag out. So yeah, yellow flags will be coming out, and tyres were all over the track, as you've probably seen on Tom's side of the screen, and you're going to see on my side of the screen in a sec. Now, yeah, tyres sort of everywhere. There's not really anything I could do there. I sort of had to slam. I slammed on the brake at the last moment, as I was realising that there wasn't going to be an overtake there. I did have the overlap, but I had a decent overlap, but I had to sort of put the brakes on as hard as possible, but I just couldn't get it stopped in time to get out of the barriers. So I probably could have pushed James's car a bit more sideways to make sure that I didn't hit the barriers, but at the end of the day, it's just racing. Accidents happen, so it's just unfortunate. So we're on to the back of James here, and we're just going to try and just get the overtake done now. There's obviously yellow flags out, so no overtaking from where the guy with the yellow flag is standing to the accident, but you can overtake in the sort of from the accident zone back round to the yellow flag. So there is half the track you can overtake, half the track you can't overtake. Obviously Tom trying to get a move done but just can't, and I'm looking down the inside of James, can't really get it done here as James slows up a bit early, because you can literally, as long as you get the overtake done before that yellow flag, literally a couple of millimeters before, you deserve the position. You can have the position. So that's what I was doing here. But Tom and my dad going very, very slowly through the yellow flag zone. I'm not too sure. My dad was going very slowly just in general. But after the accident zone, I go down the inside of James. We managed to get the position done. Tom realises that I've gone for the overtake, so he goes for the overtake on my dad here. Yes, he does, down the inside. My dad going very wide in the corner. He gets the overtake done on my dad. I make sure that I overtake my dad before the yellow flag zone as well. So Tom is currently in front. I can't overtake him. Then it's me, then my dad. Then it'll be James in last place on the road, but he'll be second place still overall. So there we are. We've managed to get through the zone, and Tom, I'm not sure what he's doing here, but I just sort of made sure that the yellow flag wasn't coming out, and James just got past my dad. So James gets up into second place on the road, and he's still second place in the race. So there it is. We're up to the start finish line, and that is the end of the race there. Very, very crazy end, as I told you guys. A very, very interesting end. We managed to get the win, and now can we make it a double and get 2 wins in a row? It's definitely going to be hard, but we're going to be trying our best to make sure we can do it. So yeah, good end to the race and very fun. But anyway, let's move on to the results, and there we are, exactly the same as qualifying. I win, James second, Tom third, and my dad ends up in fourth. So good points there for Tom and my dad, and that should really close up the championship battle for second place here. Now, the reverse grid race, and looking at the lights, and away we go. Tom gets a decent start here, but James, once again, goes from last to first in the first straight here. I managed to somehow get into the slipstream and managed to keep up with him there, and I managed to go from third to second. So even though we had the reverse grid, we still ended up in the same positions after turn 1 where we were in the last race anyway. So that was a bit, but I guess that just shows who's got the best reaction time and also who's lightest. And I guess James is lightest, and I'm probably the same sort of weight as Tom as well. So yeah, a pretty even start between both of us. But my dad somehow managed to get around the outside of Tom here. Not too sure how that happened. Not too sure whether Tom made a mistake. But unfortunately for Tom, he's dropped back down to last place once again. And it's pretty much the same circumstances we had in the first race. James leading, I'm second, my dad third, and Tom fourth. And let's just see whether we can switch around the results once again and see whether I can get in front of James and see whether Tom can get in front of my dad. It's already set out to be a very interesting race, especially if we have some of the racing that we did in the first one. It should be a lot of fun here today. And of course, guys, if you have any sort of ideas and ways that we can update the series and make it more interesting for you guys to watch, just let me know down in the comment section. I understand any comment, as long as it's constructive criticism, that's good. If it's just hate, then that's just silly. As long as it's constructive criticism, it all can help towards making this series better for us racing and also you guys watching. So maybe that might be like an extra camera, I don't know. Just let me know with the comments down below. I'm just trying my best with these videos, as it does take a lot of time to edit them and everything. So as long as you guys can help me improve, that will be good. But we've managed to get the move done on James, which is good. It wasn't as hard as last time, and we're pretty much just now going to defend for the rest of this race and just try and just get this win. I pretty much knew as long as I got into the lead, I just need to defend from James and then pretty much just keep the position. As long as I defended it from him for the first couple of laps, I should probably have been able to build up an advantage to make sure that we could have got the win overall and been able to get the first person to get the pole on both wins. And that's definitely something I was aiming for. I was aiming for it last weekend as well. Or not last weekend, last race weekend. But with being like a 2-hour delay and all that sort of stuff, we only had a chance to do one 20-minute race instead of going to 10-minute races. Obviously, if we'd done two 10-minute races, I probably wouldn't have been able to get that sort of accolade there, but unfortunately not. So we're seeing whether it can happen this time, but we've got the lead. We're in a great position to do so. I was sort of checking behind me here to see whether James was close, and he wasn't close. So pretty much just did my normal racing line here because I can do a lot better lap times if I'm going wide into the corner, but if I'm going tight into the corner every time, then I'm losing time, and really James is just keeping up with me. So I needed to make that decision whether I just kept on my normal racing line or did the defensive racing line there. So I decided to go back to my normal racing line as I looked back, as you saw, and I got the advantage over James. So that's my decision there. Now Tom, right onto the back of my dad here, is he going to be able to get the move done? Well, he's trying to look for a move, but Tom goes slightly wide through that corner, but he's got into the slipstream. He's looking down the inside here. He's lifting off the throttle ever so slightly. He was looking for a move down the inside, but it didn't really work out. My dad gets very sideways, however, and Tom manages to sneak down the inside and manages to get the position. And yeah, that was really it actually for the racing in this one. I'm not gonna lie, guys, I'm not gonna make you wait around for the rest of it, or if you want to skip to the end, but this is how the positions ended up for the end of the race. I ended up winning this race with James in second, with Tom in third, and my dad ended up fourth place. But it also means I can talk about a couple of other things, because obviously we got all the championship order out the way. Sorry, we got the race order out the way, and we'll look at the championship order at the end of this. So if you want to skip around to about 33 minutes into this video, you'll be able to see the video race results, and also the championship results. So definitely, if you don't want to watch the racing anymore, skip ahead to the end of this and have a quick look at that. So I'm going to talk about something else for the rest of this video, or try and talk about it for the rest of this video, because I'm really interested to sort of talk throughout this all as well, because I think it's pretty interesting. So basically, I'm going to talk through who's got the wins and poles and everything so far, and I'm also going to talk about some other stuff as well. So basically, I so far have got 8 race wins, but 2 of those race wins were 20-minute races or plus. So if you count it as 2 10-minute races, I would have 10 race wins so far, but I'm just going to count it as 8 just for the fairness. So I've got 8 race wins. Ben has got 2, Will's got 4, Job has 2, my dad has 1, Harry has 1, Will's dad has 1, and so does James. So Will's dad and James both having 1 there, and I think that means, yeah, I think that's definitely now that means that I have won the most wins category. There's another trophy for most wins as well, and I thought it'd be nice to have a trophy for most wins, most pole positions, and we've also got a trophy for the best overtaker, which is probably going to be decided by you guys. But I'm going to have to sort of set up a poll or something on Twitter, or maybe even a link in the description of this video. I'm not too sure, but yeah, we'll do that in some time in the near future. But yeah, so that will be decided by you guys. And then in terms of pole positions, I've won that category as well. I won it in this round. If I didn't get pole in this round, I could have still been beaten by someone, whether that be well, actually it would have been my dad, because Will obviously won't be taking part in any more rounds. So if my dad got pole for this round and also the last round, we would both draw on 4 poles, and I'm not too sure who would get it, otherwise maybe it'd be most second places or something, which would probably go down to me. But I don't know how that would work out. But yeah, I've won the pole position trophy as well, the most pole position trophy. So overall I think it's been quite good, and I've actually really enjoyed the series, guys, and it should be interesting for the future as well. I'm always up for, as I said, ways we can improve this series and all that sort of stuff, because I enjoy racing and everything, but I want to make sure you guys enjoy watching as well, as obviously it's a big thing as well to make sure that it's enjoyable to watch. And I'm not going to lie, Tom's actually putting in some decent lap times here, and he seems to be sort of keeping up with James in a way. So In terms of race pace now, he seems to be keeping up with James, but obviously he lost that time at the start, stuck behind my dad, so unfortunately for him, he sort of lost that time, and he's probably not going to be able to keep up or catch up to James here, but that's just the way racing is, isn't it? Sometimes just unfortunate things that happen, and you know, unfortunate circumstances. If you get held up behind someone, and you can't manage to keep the position, can't manage to catch up to positions or whatever. So yeah, and what else was I going to say? I was going to say a couple of other things. Well, talking about how many races people have done, obviously I've done every event, so it was going to be, I know it sounds bad, but unless I did really badly this year, it was going to be hard for me not to win the championship. But I just needed to make sure that I was fast and everything as well. I'm not going to lie, guys, I think I was still pretty good this year in terms of my raw speed and everything. I was probably only second to Will, and obviously Will was never going to be able to do the full season in the first place, because obviously he couldn't do it from pretty much September onwards. I think it's September, October. I think it's yeah, September on. Wow, I can't even speak now. September onwards, I don't think he was able to do anything, so do any racing or anything. So that's understandable. So I pretty much had to. It was mine to lose, if you can say it like that. It was mine to lose. So I was really trying my best, but Ben has had, I think he's had 6 rounds so far. Could be wrong. Yeah, he's had 6 rounds so far. He'll have 7 rounds in total out of the 12. So that's still over half races that he's done. So it's going to be interesting to see whether Ben would have half as many points as me, because for example, if we doubled Ben's points, we would get 280 pretty much. It would have 278. So he'd be less than a race win behind me, or a race weekend behind me. So he would still be in championship contention if you'd doubled his points and put him in that championship fight. But overall, Ben has been a lot faster than he was last year. We did some races last year, but Ben has definitely improved, and I'm hoping next year Ben is going to be able to do most rounds, and hopefully it's going to be good, challenging for a good championship fight with him, especially with the dropped rounds, drop score that we're planning to do as well. So that should be good. Job, I think, has also done 6 rounds. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Yeah, he's done 6, and that will be his final score at the end of the season as well. Because as I said, he won't be able to do the last round. Unfortunately, he's already confirmed that to me. Tom on 130 points has done 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. So he's done 8 rounds, including this one. So he'll be 2 ahead of Ben in terms of the amount of races he's done. And that's actually the same for my dad as well. He'd have done 9 races at the end, or 9 rounds at the end of the season. So yeah. So also Harry, I think he's only done 4 races, and it's funny enough that Harry's last race that he'd done, which was back in round number 6, he actually won that race. So good for him. At least he got that race win. And Will, he did 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 race weekend, and he managed to get up to 138 points. So he basically got 1 less point than Ben in 1 less race weekend. So Ben did a pretty good job, but I think Will, if you looked at it at the end of the day, Will was the fastest person in the season. But it would have been great to have a championship battle with Will, and just seeing how everything would have ended up. But overall, guys, I'm really happy with how this championship's turned out, and we've still got 1 round to go after this. So there we are. That is the race over and done with. Once again, some really good racing. And let's skip ahead to the results. Exactly the same as qualifying in race 1. Me, James, Tom, and my dad. That's your top 4. Then we look up to the championship standings, and this is how we end up. I have won the championship on 302 points, and I still got a chance to get over 330 points, and that's something I'm definitely going to be aiming for. My dad has risen to 2nd place in the standings here on 149 points, 10 points ahead of Ben in P3. So Ben, all he needs to do is score 10 points more than my dad in this final round, and he would be 2nd in the championship because he has won more races. Or unless my dad wins a race in this next round, it's going to be very, very close. So Ben on 139 points, then Will obviously won't be taking part in any more races on 138. So it looks like Tom will be getting 4th place in the championship, which will be great for him. Then Job in P6, that is his final points as well, 123 points. Mathematically, he can't be beaten by James, so that is your top 6 pretty much just will be in a different order. Then James in P7 will be taking part in the final round. I think he confirmed that to me in the racing, so that's good, or after the race I should say. So he's on 87 points. Harry, a little bit of a question mark over whether he'll be racing the next time, but he can still mathematically beat James for 7th place in the championship. Will's dad in 9th place on 20 points, but has a race win. That's why he's ahead of Callum, who's in 10th with 20 points as well. Then we've got Ryan in last place on 12 points. So really Ryan can get 9th place in the championship, but he just needs to, you know, come to this final round. We'll see what happens there, but you know, maybe Ryan will end up coming for this last round. I'm not too sure, but really interesting stuff, guys. Definitely tune in for the last round of the season in about a month's time. It should be a lot of fun. So thanks for watching, guys, once again. I really appreciate it. Be sure to like the video if you've enjoyed it, but until next time, it's been Axe. I'm out of here. Goodbye.